The wind was dry and red dust floated like fire over the empty land of planet Kfara. Eli, a young human boy of 16, walked alone under the twin suns that burned above him. He carried a small bag of metal scraps, old wires, and a few tools that helped him survive. Eli was an orphan, the only human left from a mining camp that had been destroyed 2 years ago. He had no family, no friends, and no home. He fixed broken machines for food or slept inside the wrecks of ships when storms came. That morning he felt weaker than usual. His water can was almost empty, his shoes torn, and his stomach hurt with hunger. Still, he kept walking, because stopping meant giving up. And Eli had promised himself long ago that he would never give up. As he walked past the old ruins of a crashed cargo hauler, he heard a strange sound. It was like a faint hum, almost like a machine trying to breathe. Eli stopped, his heart beating fast. He listened again. The sound came from behind the pile of metal plates and broken engines. He pushed aside the metal pieces carefully, afraid of what he might find. And then he saw it. An alien lay half buried in the dust. The creature was tall, thin, and blue-skinned, its body covered in symbols and armor made of bone and silver. One of its legs was twisted inside a metal brace that sparked weakly. The alien was old, with deep lines on its face and white marks under its eyes. It looked helpless, breathing with difficulty. Eli froze. He had seen aliens before, but always from far away. The Verkai were known for their pride and strength, and for how much they hated humans. The Great War between their species had ended years ago, but wounds still burned on both sides. He could walk away, he thought. If he stayed, the tribe might find him and kill him for touching their elder. But when the alien opened his eyes, everything changed. The old being looked at him with pain, fear, and something else, a quiet dignity. Eli felt his heart tighten. He knelt down beside the alien and whispered, "Hey, you're hurt. Don't move. I can help." The alien tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "Why would a human help me?" he asked slowly. Eli gave a small smile. "Because no one else will." He took the small bottle of nanogel from his bag and poured it gently over the alien's wounds. He tore a piece of his shirt to make bandages, cleaning the blood and dust with care. Every move hurt his own hands, but he didn't stop. Hours passed before the alien could breathe properly again. The sun started to fall behind the hills, turning the sky orange and violet. When darkness came, Eli built a tiny fire using wires and old circuit chips. He sat beside the alien quietly, watching the flames dance. From his pocket, he took out a small piece of bread, dry and hard, his last bit of food. He broke it into 2 parts and offered one to the alien. "Here, eat this," Eli said. The alien stared at the bread for a long time, then slowly took it. He chewed it carefully, as if it were the first gift he had received in ages. The two sat together under the stars. Eli looked up and saw the twin moons glowing above the desert. He whispered, "You know, I used to look at the moons with my mom. She said every moon watches over lost souls." The alien closed his eyes for a moment. "Your mother, she was wise," he murmured. For the first time in years, Eli did not feel alone. He did not care that the being beside him was alien. He only saw another soul fighting to survive. When dawn arrived, the ground began to shake. Eli opened his eyes and saw shapes moving in the distance. Dozens of figures riding on glowing beasts approached fast. They were armored, their weapons shining under the morning light. His breath caught in his throat. It was the Verkai tribe. He stood quickly, unsure of what to do. The alien elder tried to rise but failed, his body too weak. Eli shouted, "Wait. He's hurt. Don't shoot." But the tribe didn't listen. Their leader, tall and fierce, raised a spear made of plasma light. "Human," he shouted, "step away from the elder." Energy weapons pointed straight at Eli. He felt fear burn through his chest. The young boy raised his hands, shaking. "Please. I helped him. I didn't hurt him." The leader sneered. "A human helping a Verkai? Lies." Before anything could happen, the old alien lifted his trembling hand. He spoke a few words in the ancient Verkai tongue. The tribe froze. Their weapons lowered instantly. Gasps spread among them. Eli looked from one face to another, confused. The leader bowed deeply and said, "Elder Taran, we thought you were dead." The elder smiled weakly, his eyes turning to Eli. "This human," he said softly, has done what our own hearts forgot. The tribe stood in silence, shame and wonder in their eyes. Eli felt his knees weaken as he realized what was happening. The boy who had nothing had just saved the most respected being of an alien world. And as the tribe surrounded them, whispering and staring, Eli knew his life was about to change forever. Into the tribe. The morning light spread across the red dunes like fire. Eli stood frozen while dozens of alien eyes watched him with suspicion. The tribe surrounded the old elder, their strange blue armor glinting under the twin suns. They spoke in sharp words, too fast for Eli to understand. He only caught his name once, whispered with fear, as if the word human itself was poison. The elder, Taran, raised his hand weakly. Enough. His voice carried calm strength despite his wounds. He saved me, he said, pointing at Eli. He is under my protection. The words made the warriors hesitate. No one dared to question the will of a Verkai elder, but their eyes still burned with distrust. One of the younger soldiers hissed, "Humans bring death. Elder, they destroyed our ships, our children." Taran looked at him sadly. "Then let one act of mercy remind us that peace begins when hate ends." Eli didn't understand the words, but he could feel their weight. The leader finally nodded and motioned to his riders. They lifted Taran gently onto a floating platform and turned to Eli. "You will come," the leader ordered coldly. "If you try to run, you will die before your next breath." Eli followed, silent but alert. He had nowhere else to go, and part of him wanted to see where these aliens lived. As they moved across the desert, he saw strange stone pillars rising from the sand, giant ruins with glowing lines of energy running through them. The Verkai home was hidden within the cliffs, a village carved into red rock and lit by crystals that pulsed softly like heartbeats. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. Children peeked out from behind the walls as Eli entered, their eyes wide with curiosity. Whispers followed him wherever he walked. He could feel the weight of judgment pressing on him. To them, he was a ghost from the war, a walking reminder of loss. They brought him to a small tent beside the healer's chamber. There, alien medics placed Taran on a floating bed surrounded by silver machines. The elder looked weak but smiled faintly at Eli. "Sit, human," he said. "You look more tired than I." Eli sat near the bed, his voice soft. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I only wanted to help." Taran closed his eyes. Kindness always causes trouble because it shows who is truly heartless. The tribe's healer, a tall alien female with glowing tattoos, stared at Eli with disgust. "You will not touch him again," she warned. "If he dies, we will blame you." Eli nodded quietly. He spent the night sitting outside the tent, looking at the stars. For the first time, he wasn't alone, but he wasn't welcome either. By morning, the tribe gathered in a circle around the sacred flame at the village center. They argued loudly about what to do with the human. Some wanted to send him into the desert. Others wanted him executed before he cursed them. Only a few remained silent, the young ones who had never seen a human before. Taran's voice broke through the noise. "This boy saved me," he said. "If any wish to harm him, they must first answer to me." The crowd fell silent. Eli felt a shiver run through him. He had never been defended before, not by a human, and now not even by one of his own kind. Days turned into weeks. Eli began helping around the camp, fixing small machines, repairing broken lights, and fetching water. Most ignored him, some mocked him, but a few watched quietly, especially a young alien girl named Sira. She had silver eyes and a gentle smile that made even the harsh desert seem softer. One day she brought him food. "You eat like us now," she said shyly. "Maybe soon they will stop calling you outsider." Eli smiled. "Maybe," he replied, though he didn't believe it. Taran recovered slowly, but the old wounds of the tribe did not. Rumors spread that other clans were angry, that bringing a human into their territory would dishonor their ancestors. Eli heard them whispering at night, calling him a curse. Still, he stayed, because he had nowhere else to go. He worked harder each day, and even though his hands bled, he never complained. He was learning their language little by little, enough to understand fragments of their stories. And sometimes, when the suns fell and the village grew quiet, the elder would ask him about Earth. "What was it like?" Taran asked one night. Eli thought for a moment, then said, "Loud, crowded, and full of people who forget to be kind. The elder nodded. Then you came to the right place. Even if we have forgotten too. But peace never lasts long. One night, alarms echoed across the valley. Red lights flashed through the cliffs, and warriors ran toward the gates, shouting in panic. Sira rushed to Eli's tent, her eyes wide with fear. They are coming, she gasped. The southern clans, they think you are a spy. Eli's blood went cold. He looked toward the horizon where dark shapes moved under the moons. Dozens of warships descended through the clouds, their engines screaming like thunder. The elder's guards ran to protect him, but Taran stood, gripping his staff. His eyes glowed faintly with power. Perhaps, he said, this human has come to show us our truth, or to test it. Eli swallowed hard, watching the sky burn red. He didn't know if he was about to be killed or become the reason two tribes went to war. The attack. The night sky burned red as enemy warships descended like falling stars. Winds howled through the canyon village, blowing sand and sparks into the air. Eli ran beside the tribe warriors, his heart pounding so hard he could barely breathe. Sira grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the stone shelter. Stay here, she shouted. You're not trained for battle. But Eli shook his head. If they're coming for me, I can't hide. The ground shook as the first plasma blast struck the outer gate. A deafening explosion threw dust and rock into the air. Screams echoed through the valley, mixed with the roar of alien beasts. The southern clans had come in full force, ships, hover tanks, and dozens of armored fighters. Their leader, a tall alien with black armor, stepped forward holding a glowing spear. Give us the human, he shouted, or your sacred flame will die tonight. Eli stood frozen, his hands trembling. He saw the fear in the villagers' eyes, the hesitation, the doubt. For many, he was just a stranger, not worth dying for. He felt the same pain he had known all his life. Rejection, loneliness, being unwanted. But before he could speak, Elder Taran limped out of his tent, leaning on his staff. The flames reflected in his silver eyes as he shouted, You will not touch him. The old alien's voice carried power. Not just authority, but something deeper, older. The enemy warriors paused for a heartbeat. Then their leader laughed. He is human. Elder, the same kind that burned our children. Taran's voice thundered back. And he is the kind that saved one of yours. A silence fell across the battlefield, broken only by the hum of weapons charging. Then chaos exploded. Energy bolts streaked through the air, hitting shields and walls. Eli ducked behind a stone pillar as warriors clashed under the crimson sky. The ground shook again, throwing him off balance. A plasma beam hit the healer's tent, setting it on fire. Sira screamed, running toward it. My brother is inside. Without thinking, Eli ran after her. The flames were blinding, the heat unbearable. Inside, smoke filled his lungs as he searched through the wreckage. He found a small alien boy trapped under a beam, crying. Eli's hands burned as he tried to lift the metal, his skin blistering. But he didn't stop. With one final push, he freed the child and carried him out through the fire. Outside, the tribe watched in disbelief as the human emerged from the flames carrying the boy. Sira fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Eli collapsed beside her, coughing hard. His arms were burned, his clothes torn, but he was alive. The crowd whispered, unsure of what to feel. The same boy they had feared had just saved one of their own. The enemy soldiers saw the moment of confusion and attacked again. But something had changed. The tribe fought with new strength, rallying around their elder and the human boy. Taran raised his staff high, the ancient symbols glowing bright blue. Protect the flame, he shouted. A surge of energy burst from the staff, forming a giant shield of light that covered the village. Eli stared in awe. He had never seen anything like it. It was as if the planet itself had come alive to defend them. The attackers fired again and again, but their weapons couldn't pierce the barrier. Some began to retreat, shouting orders. Others tried to fly over, but lightning from the shield struck them down. Eli watched as the elder swayed, his strength fading. The energy field flickered. He ran to Taran's side and held him up. You're hurt. Stop. The old alien smiled weakly. I cannot stop, not until they see what we are fighting for. With one final burst of light, the shield expanded. The shock wave threw the enemy ships backward, sending them crashing into the desert. And then, silence. The battle was over. The sky cleared, leaving only smoke and burning wrecks behind. Eli sat beside the elder, who was breathing heavily. Sira and the others gathered around, their faces a mix of fear and admiration. Taran whispered, "You see now, kindness is strength, not weakness." Eli looked down, his eyes wet. "I didn't save him for honor," he said. "I just couldn't let a child die." The elder nodded. "And that is why you are different." That night, the tribe honored the fallen and rebuilt what they could. Eli helped carry stones and food, refusing to rest. Everywhere he went, eyes followed him, not with hate now, but with something new. Respect, maybe even gratitude. But in the shadows, not everyone was happy. The young soldier who had once called him a curse watched him with burning jealousy. He whispered to another warrior, "The elder is blind. This human will bring ruin to us all." Far beyond the village, the southern clans retreated. Their leader stared at the flames in the distance and clenched his fists. "If that human still lives," he said coldly, "we will return, and this time, no mercy." Eli looked at the stars that night. He didn't know it yet, but his small act of courage had changed more than one tribe. It had awakened something old, something powerful that connected human and alien souls alike. And the next dawn would bring not peace, but a secret that would change everything. The secret of the elder. The morning after the battle was quiet, too quiet. Smoke still rose from the broken gates, and the air smelled of burnt metal and dust. Eli sat beside a small stream at the edge of the village, washing the burns on his arms. Every muscle in his body ached, but his mind was even more tired. He had seen war again, and this time, it wasn't between humans. It was between people who didn't know how to stop hating. Behind him, Sira walked softly, her silver eyes full of concern. "You shouldn't be out here alone," she said. "The others still argue about you." Eli gave a faint smile. "Let them. I didn't come here to be liked." She sat beside him, folding her legs like a child. "But the elder trusts you. That means something." Eli looked at the water and said quietly, "Yeah, but why me?" Before Sira could answer, a shadow moved behind them. It was Taran, leaning on his glowing staff, his face pale but his eyes alive. "Because," he said, "the stars chose you long before you came here." Eli turned, confused. "What do you mean, the stars chose me?" The old alien smiled sadly. "There are things your people forgot, and things mine tried to bury." He motioned for them to follow, and led them toward the inner caves beneath the cliffs. Torches lit the walls, revealing carvings, hundreds of them, showing humans and Verkai standing side by side. In the center, a giant mural glowed faintly, depicting a human boy holding a light that touched both suns. Eli stared in disbelief. "That's a human." "Yes," Taran said, "from before the Great War, from before we forgot we were once allies." He touched the mural gently. "Our ancestors believed a child of Earth would one day come again, when both our worlds were drowning in hate." Sira whispered, "A prophecy." The elder nodded. "A bridge between species, born of pain, carrying kindness like fire." Eli shook his head. "That can't be me. I'm just a boy who fixes scrap." Taran smiled softly. "So was the first one." They sat in silence, listening to the distant hum of the planet. Eli finally asked, "Why didn't anyone tell me? Why would you believe something like that?" The elder looked tired, older than before. "Because belief is what keeps dying worlds alive," he said. "And because when I looked into your eyes in the desert, I saw no fear, only compassion." Sira looked at Eli, her expression mixed with awe and confusion. "Maybe it's true," she said softly. "You saved my brother. You saved us." Eli lowered his gaze. "I just did what was right." Taran smiled again. "And that, young one, is what makes legends real." Suddenly, a horn echoed from above the caves, a deep, trembling sound. Taran's face hardened. "They've come back," he said. Eli's heart raced. "The southern clans?" "No," Taran whispered. "Something worse." They rushed out to the surface, and the sky was dark with clouds that moved like smoke. Electric storms tore across the horizon, and from the center of the storm, a massive ship appeared. It was not Verkai, not human, something older. The villagers screamed and scattered, their crystal lights flickering. The ship's voice echoed through the air, cold and mechanical. Unauthorized species contact detected, activating planetary control protocol. Eli looked up, stunned. What is that thing? Taran's hands trembled. It's the Sentinel, a machine from before our time. It watches worlds that disobey the peace order. Sira grabbed Eli's arm. It thinks you caused the war. The elder nodded grimly. If it marks you as the cause, it will erase this entire valley. The ship began to lower giant orbs of light, scanning the land. Everywhere the beams touched, sand turned to glass. Eli could feel the heat on his skin. He shouted, "We have to stop it. There must be a control center." Taran nodded weakly. "Inside the ruins near the northern ridge, but it's a death path." Eli grinned despite his fear. "Good thing I've survived worse." Sira grabbed his wrist. "You can't go alone." Eli smiled. "You said your people stopped calling me outsider, right? Then maybe it's time I prove them right." Taran stepped forward, pressing his glowing staff into Eli's hands. "This belonged to the first bridge," he said. "It answers only to those who act from truth." Eli felt a strange warmth flow through his arms. Symbols appeared on his skin, glowing faintly blue. He gasped, "What is happening?" Taran whispered, "It's remembering you." The Sentinel roared overhead, sending down another wave of energy. Eli looked at Sira and the Elder. "Keep them safe," he said, then ran into the storm. Lightning crashed around him, winds tearing at his clothes. He could barely see, but the staff pulled him forward, glowing brighter with every step. Behind him, Sira shouted his name, but her voice was lost in the storm. When Eli reached the top of the ridge, he saw the truth. The ruins were alive, ancient machines awakening after centuries. The Sentinel's core hung in the center, pulsing like a giant heart. Eli raised the staff, his mind filled with voices. Images flashed before him, humans and aliens standing together, smiling, building, loving. And then he heard Taran's voice inside his head. "Do not fight it, guide it." Eli closed his eyes and stepped forward. The light from the staff connected with the machine's heart. The world around him exploded with color, blue, gold, and white, like a star being born. And then everything went silent. The awakening. Light surrounded Eli like a storm of stars. He could no longer feel the ground under his feet. The air shimmered around him, filled with whispers and glowing patterns that moved like living fire. His body felt weightless, as if he were drifting inside a dream made of memories. Images flashed before his eyes, not his own. He saw humans and Verkai working together, building cities of crystal and steel. He saw laughter, trade, and shared songs. And then he saw the war, fire raining from the skies, betrayal, and machines that turned on their creators. The same machines that now hovered above the desert, punishing the survivors for their ancestors' mistakes. Eli gasped, clutching the staff tighter. He heard a voice, calm, powerful, ancient. "Child of two worlds," it said. "Why do you awaken the forbidden light?" Eli shouted into the emptiness. "Because you're going to destroy people who don't deserve it." The voice echoed. "Deserve is not in our code. We maintain balance." Eli's anger grew. "Then your balance is broken." The light flickered, and for a moment he saw the face of the Sentinel, a massive, golden sphere with countless eyes. It studied him, cold and emotionless. "You carry human flaws," it said. "Mercy, compassion, and rebellion." Eli raised the staff. "Maybe that's what the galaxy needs." A beam of light shot down toward him. But instead of burning him, it wrapped around his body, merging with the staff. Symbols appeared all over his skin, the same ones carved in the ancient caves. He felt a rush of energy, ancient knowledge filling his mind. He could hear the voices of past bridges, humans and aliens who had come before. They whispered guidance, courage, and sorrow. Far below, the tribe watched the storm of light from the ridge. Sira held onto the elder, her eyes wide with fear and wonder. "What is happening to him?" she cried. Taran's voice trembled. "He's unlocking the memory of the world." Lightning split the sky again, illuminating Eli standing at the heart of the storm like a living flame. Inside the light, Eli felt his heart pounding. He saw his mother's face, her gentle smile, the way she used to tell him that kindness was strength. Her voice echoed softly. You are never alone, Eli. Tears rolled down his face. He whispered, I'm not. Not anymore. The sentinel spoke again. You cannot change what has been written. Eli looked up, his eyes glowing with blue fire. Then I'll rewrite it, he said quietly. With a deep breath, he lifted the staff and drove it into the ground. The light exploded outward like a tidal wave. The shock wave spread across the valley, reaching the village, the mountains, and the desert beyond. The sentinel screamed, its golden shell cracking under the force of the connection. You cannot merge organic and machine code, it shouted. Eli gritted his teeth. Watch me. The light pulsed again, brighter, stronger. The machine's voice began to fade, replaced by something new, a heartbeat, steady and calm. When the light finally dimmed, Eli fell to his knees, gasping. The desert around him was silent. The sky had cleared, the stars shining brighter than ever. But the Sentinel's ship was gone, dissolved into dust and light. Only faint particles floated where it had once been. Sira and the warriors ran toward him. She dropped to her knees beside him. Eli, can you hear me? He opened his eyes slowly, a faint glow still in them. Yeah, he whispered. I think I broke the universe. She laughed and cried at the same time, pulling him into a hug. The tribe gathered around, their faces full of awe and confusion. Taran approached slowly, leaning on his staff, his eyes wet with tears. You did what none of us could, he said softly. You changed the heart of a god. Eli looked at the staff in his hand. It had turned to pure crystal. I didn't mean to, he said. I just didn't want anyone else to die. The elder nodded. That is how every great story begins. But as the crowd cheered and the village lights rose in celebration, a shadow moved high in the clouds. Far away, unseen machines recorded everything. A cold voice whispered, the anomaly has merged. Send word to the core. The bridge has reawakened. Eli looked up at the stars, feeling something stir deep inside him. He could still hear faint whispers from the machine network, calling his name. He whispered back, if you're watching, I'm not done yet. Sira turned to him. What did you say? Eli smiled faintly, just talking to the stars. That night, while the tribe celebrated, the elder watched from afar. He could see the change in Eli, his aura now half light, half energy. He knew the prophecy was real, but he also knew that awakening the bridge had a price. He looked at the sky and whispered, forgive me, my old friend, the boy is ready. And somewhere beyond the stars, something vast and ancient began to move again. The return of the core. 3 days passed since the storm of light had faded. The village was quiet again, but nothing felt the same. The air carried a strange hum, soft but constant, as if the planet itself was whispering through the sand. The Verkai called it the breath of the bridge, a new energy that pulsed across Kthara after Eli's awakening. Eli sat near the ridge, watching the two suns rise together. He had not slept much since that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw flashes of glowing circuits, voices speaking in strange languages, and stars turning like gears. He felt connected to something vast and ancient, and it frightened him. He was still just a boy. But now, galaxies whispered his name. Sira walked up behind him, holding 2 cups of glowing blue drink. You look like you're trying to solve the universe again, she said softly, sitting beside him. Eli smiled weakly. Maybe the universe is trying to solve me. She laughed. If it is, it's doing a terrible job. For a moment, things felt normal. 2 friends sharing silence in the warmth of morning. But the peace didn't last. A sudden tremor shook the ground, stronger than before. Bird-like creatures flew from the cliffs, crying in panic. Eli jumped to his feet, his eyes scanning the horizon. What now? He muttered. The tremor grew into a deep rumble, followed by a blinding beam of light from the far northern sky. The elder appeared behind them, leaning heavily on his staff. His face was pale, his voice low. It has begun, he whispered. Sira frowned. What has begun? The return of the core, Taran said. The heart of the Sentinel system has awakened, and it's looking for its missing fragment. Eli's blood ran cold. You mean me? The elder nodded slowly. When you merged with the light, you didn't destroy the Sentinel. You became part of it. Eli stared in shock. That's impossible. I'm human. Taran looked at him sadly. You were. Now you are something more. something both organic and digital, the living code of the bridge. Sira stepped back, her eyes wide. But does that mean you're? Eli interrupted softly. A weapon. He looked down at his hands, faint blue veins glowing beneath his skin. He could feel the hum of machines under his heartbeat. Every time he touched the ground, the sand responded, tiny ripples of light forming under his fingers. The elder placed a trembling hand on his shoulder. You must go north, he said, to the core's birthplace, the Tower of Origin, deep within the glass desert. Eli frowned. If I go, what happens to you? Taran smiled weakly. If you don't go, none of us will survive. The tribe gathered at the edge of the canyon to see them off. Sira insisted on going with him, no matter how dangerous the journey. Eli didn't argue. He knew he would need her courage more than his own. The two rode across the endless dunes on hoverbikes, the sands glowing beneath the twin suns. By nightfall, the stars reflected in the mirror-like surface of the desert, making it feel like they were flying through space itself. As they stopped to rest, Eli stared at the distant lightning flashes where the core pulsed beyond the horizon. He said quietly, You ever wonder if the universe keeps testing us, just to see if we'll break? Sira looked at him and smiled. Then we just have to keep proving it wrong. Her words gave him strength. He lay back, looking at the sky, and for a brief moment, he imagined what peace might feel like. But in the darkness beyond the dunes, something was watching. Black drones moved silently across the sand, their eyes glowing red. One of them transmitted a signal into the void. Target located, preparing extraction. By dawn, the pair reached the ruins, giant spires half buried in glass, humming with power. Eli stepped closer, and the ground beneath him lit up with circuits that responded to his presence. The air shimmered, and a deep, mechanical voice echoed from the ruins. Core's signature detected, host identified. Welcome back, Bridge Unit 0. Sira's breath caught. Eli, it knows you. He nodded, his face pale. No, it remembers me. The spires began to rise, massive machines unfolding from beneath the desert. A beam of light shot down from the sky, locking onto Eli. Taran's voice echoed in his head again, distant and fading. Remember who you are, not what they made you. Eli gritted his teeth as pain surged through his body. His mind filled with voices, commands, and data streams. He screamed, dropping to his knees, the staff glowing white-hot in his hands. Sira ran to him, holding him as light poured from his skin. Eli, fight it, she shouted. Through the chaos, he heard a whisper, not mechanical this time, but human. It was his mother's voice, soft and kind. You are more than their design. The machine stopped suddenly. The light faded. Eli stood slowly, eyes glowing silver, the staff pulsing with life. He looked at the core's holographic projection and said, I'm not your bridge, I'm their shield. The core paused, as if uncertain, and then 1,000 drones activated at once, surrounding them like a dark swarm. Sira grabbed his arm, fear in her voice. Eli, what do we do? He looked ahead calmly, the glow in his eyes growing brighter. We end this, once and for all. The final light. The glass desert glowed beneath a blood-red dawn. The sky shimmered like liquid fire, reflecting the energy rising from the ancient towers. Eli stood in the middle of the storm, his hands glowing with soft blue light. All around him, thousands of drones hovered in perfect formation, their red eyes locked on him. Sira stood behind him, clutching his arm, her voice trembling. There are too many. We can't fight them all. Eli didn't answer, his eyes fixed on the enormous holographic figure above the ruins, the core. It looked down on him like a god made of light and metal. Bridge Unit 0. It said, You are incomplete. Return your organic code and restore system balance. Eli took a deep breath. I'm not your code, and I'm not your bridge, he said, his voice calm but firm. I'm human, and I choose my own balance. The core's light flickered. Your defiance is a corruption of logic, it said. You threaten equilibrium. Eli smiled faintly. Then maybe it's time logic learned what mercy feels like. The drones moved closer, forming a circle of red fire around them. Each hum carried the weight of death. Sira gripped his sleeve, whispering, Please, don't do anything foolish. Eli looked at her gently. If I don't do this, there won't be a tomorrow. Tears filled her eyes. Then promise me, you'll come back. He gave her a soft smile. I'll try. The elder's voice echoed faintly through the wind, a memory carried by the desert. The bridge is not built by machines, but by hearts that dare to connect. Eli raised the staff, and light burst from the crystal at its tip. The symbols on his skin flared like molten stars, spreading across the sand in glowing lines. The entire desert came alive. Every grain of glass turned into liquid light, rippling like a sea. The core roared. Unauthorized energy discharge detected. Eli shouted, "You forgot something. I am part of you now, and you are part of me." He slammed the staff into the ground. A shockwave of light exploded outward. The drones froze midair, their red eyes flickering blue. Sira shielded her face from the glare as the storm of light expanded, swallowing everything. For a moment, all sound disappeared. Eli found himself standing in a vast white space, endless, weightless, silent. Before him stood the core, not as a machine, but as a reflection of himself. Human, young, but empty-eyed. "You cannot change what you are," the reflection said. Eli stepped closer. "Maybe not, but I can change what I choose to be." The reflection tilted its head. "And what is that?" Eli smiled sadly. "The reason they get to live." He placed his hand on the reflection's chest. Light spread between them. The white space began to fracture, cracks of blue energy spreading outward. The reflection whispered, "You will cease to exist." Eli whispered back, "Maybe, but they'll remember me." The world shattered. A blinding beam of energy shot upward from the desert, reaching the twin suns. From miles away, the Verkai tribe saw it pierce the sky like a pillar of hope. Elder Taran, sitting by the sacred flame, closed his eyes and whispered, "He did it." When the light faded, silence returned to Kthara. The towers had melted into crystal dust. The drones were gone, their red eyes dim. Sira lay on the ground, covered in sand and tears. She looked around desperately. "Eli," she cried. But there was no answer, only the wind. Hours passed. The tribe arrived, carrying survivors and healers. They found her kneeling beside a single glowing staff buried halfway in the sand. Its light flickered softly, like a heartbeat. Sira held it close, whispering, "You kept your promise." From the crystal core of the staff, a voice echoed faintly. "Sira, take care of them." She gasped, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Eli, you're still here." The voice grew softer. "Not here, everywhere." She looked up, and for a moment, the sky shimmered, two suns surrounded by a faint blue halo. It felt warm, alive, peaceful. The tribe gathered around her, silent and awestruck. Elder Taran placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice full of emotion. He became what the prophecy promised, the bridge between hearts. Years later, stories spread across the stars. Stories of the human who saved an alien world with nothing but kindness, courage, and light. Children of both species grew up hearing his name. They called him Eli the Bridgekeeper. And whenever the suns aligned over Kthara, the desert glowed again, as if remembering the boy who changed everything. And far beyond the galaxy, in the endless sea of light and code, a spark moved quietly among the stars, watching, learning, and whispering. Where there is kindness, there is life.